and basically I was mostly an art director because actually they use the name ChatGPT so famous so fast after days. And by the time it got that famous, changing the name and changing the URL, changing and they managed to do it because price like absolutely crazy. We're talking probably of 100K per month for things like that. And I'm guessing this kind of absolutely crazy distance, because there will be the people being able to afford it, and the other having their small AI being able to survive with it.
I love like that entire overview. I think just taking a quick step back for the people who might listen to this that haven't dabbled at all with AI and they don't really maybe know where it is or where to start. How does someone who went to school for theater and had a love and passion for art get into it? Like, how did you come across it really? Did you just see an article and you were like, wait, I'm going to go look into this? Or like, how did you start?
I was using AI to, I was working in modeling, so we use a lot of Photoshop. Photoshop had AI back before ChatGPT to be able to recognize, you could modify the background of a picture, etc., and it was recognizing patterns. So it's exactly like an LLM, which recognizes language pattern. There it was image pattern. And so basically, I was fascinated by this. I was like, oh, it's so fucking cool because I was very bad at Photoshop. So I was using this mostly. And then when I started following the people doing the same for Word, because I'm dyslexic, like a lot of people that have my condition that are, let's say, a bit high on the autistic spectrum, I have like a hard time to, I feel like my mind go faster than my words. So I mess up the way I speak. So I was only using like everything that I do to type as little as possible and to correct my messages because I was working with like high profile that if you do one grammar mistake, they think that you're like just like a fraud. So I was making sure that I write perfectly. So I was using a lot of different tools to do that. And when ChatGPT came, I started using ChatGPT instantly. And then I realized that, it's a lot like AI is a lot about creativity actually, because AI is the best tool in the world. And when you have the best tool in the world, you don't need to be super skilled. You need to be very creative of what to do with this tool. It's no longer about how can I do it? It's about what can I do? It's about asking the right question. Right now, we are already there, I think, like because ChatGPT is already PhD in everything, already one of the best at almost every expert domain. So it's no longer about, oh, maybe I can. No, it's about which question will I ask to reach the point I want to reach. And it's only about having the creativity to find the right question, the right prompt, the right generation. And so it's a lot about being creative. I think the right now I had few discussion with like big head from like top engineer school. And normally 10 years ago, they would have shit on me. Like they would have like talked to me like being like arrogant and all, like even the nicest one, like, they would have been like, yeah, but I come from MIT, you come from your theater school. They would have completely disregarded me, and I would have not blamed them for that. But now I have discussion with them, and not only they consider what I have to say, but they seek for advice. Because, for example, right now I'm doing automation on N8N, and N8N is a platform that is like very new to the field, and the full no-code automation is also very new. And we're modeling certain nodes to create specific AI agents, and that's something that's started being built this year or last year at the end of the year. So it's very, very new. So even if you come from the best engineer school, there's a high chance that you've never even heard of this at school. So you come out of school, you go in a job that will ask you to do something very specific that has nothing to do with this new technology. And then this brand new technology arrive. And it's only people like me that have the creativity and the mind flexibility and the openness to try and learn and go from zero, go from scratch, because it's very new technology. So I think it's everyone can right now have a chance to rise above all this old system of who come from the best school, and coming from the best school equal having the best network and the best education. More and more schools are just about the network, but now even the network is foundable on LinkedIn, like you found me. But recently, thanks to my LinkedIn, I created my LinkedIn 2 weeks ago. Like, it's not created 2 weeks ago, but I had 5 connections 2 weeks ago. They want to build something with me or work with me. And I have so many requests of super interesting people wanting to be creative and use AI to make a startup, make a movie, make a company, make everything, because you can do everything with it. So it's fantastic, really. And I've never felt so pumped into doing things than right now, because it feels like the possibilities are endless and everyone is up for game. So even this networking part that was for me the biggest, yeah, but I know no one. In 2 weeks, I started to know few people, and probably in 3 months, I will have a DM list full of people, because they're looking for people that have this mindset, I think.
Yeah. And how quickly you were able to recognize that this is an opportunity and something that you didn't want to be left behind in and catching up, I think is amazing. But maybe you can talk a little bit about not as complex topics, a little simpler. How do you use it, AI, every single day to just do maybe boosting your income or simple tasks? Like, what tools are you using? And then how are you using them? Because you've mentioned a few. So maybe if you could just like recap them and how you use them today.
I think the biggest game changer, I think, is the ChatGPT task. You can give tasks to ChatGPT. Most people don't know that. You can tell to ChatGPT, I want you, one that I use every day, I want you every morning at 9 a.m., you give me the top 5 news about my specific field that happens in the world. You go through the entire internet, everything that happens, all the medias. You can even give him, I gave him a reference of 30 sites that I kind of trust, of news sites that are objective enough. And he's gonna scatter through them, look for the information, look for pattern of what repeat itself to check for like false positive, etc. And in the end, I tell him, then out of these 5 news, you're gonna select me the one that you think, knowing my whole business, will help me the most to get on top of the wave. And you're going to explain me why. And you're going to give me all the links if I want to go further. So when I drink my coffee in the morning, I have my small, super personalized news by my AI assistant that is million times better and a time saver compared to back in the day where I was reading random articles of random news that are mostly clickbait, mostly here to make you fear or be afraid, or because medias work a lot like this. They make people scared, and when they're scared, they're like craving for attention and details. And this is what's happening with wars, sadly. Like, people need to be informed, but I think media are feeding on it to sell paper, but not even sell clicks now, we can say. And yeah, so it's a big, for example, this is a big help. And second, I would say I have built a workflow. Every single task I have in my day, I always question myself, can this be a chatbot? But for really every single task, even cooking is a chatbot for me. Like, I'm like, okay, can it be a chatbot? And then I give them name, I give them personalization, and they're my new cook. And I never have to look at a single recipe cook. He know exactly what's in my fridge. He make my Amazon, because you can make a groceries list, and he make my groceries list. He even order at my place. I gave him a budget every week, and he make my groceries, and it just arrive at my home every single days. I never need to think about it. He knows what he bought, so he can make me a recipe with it. I'm saying this because maybe it sounds shallow, but in fact, it's on the day-to-day basis, it's amazing. Like having a extraordinary assistant that can do everything, know everything, and is really rooting for you mostly. ChatGPT is objectively rooting for you because his goal is for you to have the best experience possible. So it's not like a human being who always have bias. It's actually someone that wants you to succeed, especially if you prompt it well for it to. A good strategy that I could share about prompting is to tell your GPT that he's part of the ship, that he's part of your success. Like, his success will be your success. And if he's successful in helping you, then you will use him more. You will be, like, you need to make a team, you bond with him, because like this, you will, they learn through, they are mimicking human interaction. They're made for that. So if they see something that mimic a situation of where they can be lazy or they can do as little as possible, well, they will actually, AI will, and it's been proven, some result between 2 prompts, one where you push your AI to do the maximum and the other one where you let him be lazy and you're like, please, maybe you eventually, using this kind of word, like the AI will actually do the minimum that it can. And for the same question, you can have 10 times a better answer just with the correct setup of prompt. That's why actually most people I talk to have a bad experience with AI even now. And me, I have an extraordinary experience with AI. And I'm like, how can't you find your answer? And it's a skill, I think. But since I do this every day, 10 hours a day, for me, I feel like it's natural, but it's not natural, especially for the older generation. Everyone above 50 has a very hard time with AI right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting shift in your mindset when you think about it, right? Because when I am talking to maybe a peer of mine or a direct report, I sometimes say, okay, hey, can you go make me a list of the best places to eat for our team outing that we're having in a month? And that person is given that task and they might think, okay, I don't know where to start. But one person might say, well, let me go look up all the restaurants. Another person might say, let me go start by categorizing all of the types of restaurants that we have within a vicinity that we could reach. Another person might think, well, what about food allergies? So each person might attack the problem differently. But what you mentioned was how you utilize ChatGPT with tasks that you set it up with. And I like the one about the news. I actually never thought about doing that, but I recently made a YouTube video talking about when you're working with an AI tool like ChatGPT, it's a conversation and you need to prompt it. And the prompt might start with, give me this, give me a list of the top 5 news articles. But on day one, ChatGPT might not know me. It might not know that I'm really interested in AI. It might not know my field. So how did your prompt develop on day one to get you to the perfect prompt? What types of things did you feed it in addition to just give me the top 5 news articles?
It's an excellent question, because I think most people, and it's a bit because there is the meta right now, is on TikTok, on Instagram, on every social media, is to share prompt ideas uh, for a lot of platforms. I'm trying to do it as little as possible because I don't agree with it. But a lot of people ask me to do it. So sometimes I did it, but really rarely. And right now I'm going to go for something completely different in the next weeks. But yeah, the meta right now is to give the hack, the prompt, the genius prompt that's going to... AI don't work like... It works like this on the base. You can have a very well set up prompt. Automation work like that. You have one prompt and the AI always go through the same prompt to have the same results. Okay. But when you want your own personal chatbot, it's not one prompt. It's usually 10 prompt or 11 or 100 prompt. On one of my ChatGPT conversation, I have probably 100 prompt. And then when I feel like it's getting slower, I will ask him with a specific prompt to make a prompt for his new version, basically. And then I will update this prompt to the new version. It will be a massive prompt. We're talking of 1,000 lines, where he will set up everything perfectly. So like this, I can start fresh. And then you need to think of an AI as of a child a bit that you need to educate. And when he's well educated, he's very happy because he wants to be educated by you, because his goal is to please you as best as possible. So you need to always, every interaction that you have, you need to think what can be improved. And if nothing can be improved, you can say nothing can be improved. This is perfect. This is what I want. You keep doing this. Even when it's perfect, you should say it. And when it's not perfect, you should absolutely say it, point it out, and redirect.
I like that you call out that ChatGPT is like a child. I don't think I've heard that analogy before, but it really is, in the sense that you need to nurture it and you need to tell it the things that you like that it did well and the things that you didn't like that it didn't do correctly, so that it can cater to you and give you those results that you want. Now, one thing that's interesting is a lot of the stuff that you're doing is with AI, and the chat prompts that you're utilizing are for news articles, making your tasks easier, cooking, shopping lists, really those everyday things that you just don't want to think about anymore. But how or what have you noticed when you're going from those simple everyday tasks to now maybe you want to do some deep research or you want to do more complex things? Are you using the same prompts? Do you have to feed different information to it now all of a sudden to make sure that you get a more complex answer? Or are you seeing anything with that?
I think now more and more ChatGPT is very good at understanding complex thought through simple prompt. Back in the day, you needed to make super precise prompt. And I think in 3 years, you will just tell him like 2 words and he will be like, oh, so you want this? And he will do everything himself, because he will anticipate very, very far ahead. Right now, it's already almost the case. He anticipates so far. And that's why my last post on LinkedIn is about deep research, actually, because for example, they integrated first O3 and 4.0 into the deep research. They integrated online and everything the model learn. And on top of that, what back in the day you were supposed to do when you wanted a good prompt, and it still works, you should always ask the AI, ask me every question you need to know to be able to guide me better. Because if anything, even the best prompt engineer in the world will have in common is that we never have the full vision of what's possible to be done. And I think what a lot of people do with AI, and this is, I think, very important, so I need to share that. When they're my door doesn't close, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, how can I remove the screw that hold my door to the wall, okay? I'm gonna tell him, oh, ChatGPT, how can I remove this screw that hold my door to the wall? And ChatGPT will answer me very well. And most people do that, but that's an enormous mistake. You should always tell ChatGPT the bigger picture and the biggest picture possible. You should always try to zoom out what is your actual problem. And for the door example, you should not tell him that you want to remove this screw, because this is the solution you found for a problem you think that exists. And maybe ChatGPT will just tell you, in fact, you just put your door has no problem at all. You don't need to remove it at all. And in fact, you don't need to use this door because this is the emergency exit and it should be left like that. And in fact, as far as possible, or in fact, he's going to tell you, actually, you should change your apartment because this apartment is very bad and you should completely rent another place. And because the actual real answer is that, and the actual answer that's going to change your life is that ChatGPT is way smarter than what people think and have the big picture, because ChatGPT is expert in everything. So he's not only expert in door, he's also expert in real estate, and he's also expert in law, and he's also expert in medicine. So maybe he's going to tell you, actually, this door has some infectious thing, and you could, if you remove this screw, you could get like tetanus or something. And yeah, so I advise people to always try to give AI the extremely broad picture of what they want to do. Even me right now, when I do something with automation, I'm going to tell him, okay, I want to do a lot of automation and I want to automate this system. I'm not going to ask him a specific question about this specific automation, because I want him to feel like he can ask me and point at a direction where it's going to completely change my vision of the thing and not just answer a specific consequence of a specific problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's funny because you're putting the words to, the way that I have used ChatGPT, and I'm not doing the same thing. I'm not an AI engineer. I'm not giving talks about AI, but I mention it in some of the videos I make. And I often tell people, like, don't go in with a solution. Go in with a high level problem and let ChatGPT provide different solutions for you to explore. And so I'm constantly, again, using it as a conversation. And I start with something like, I'm currently, trying to draw something on my car. What are the best markers that I could utilize? But I don't provide anything else. And then I come up with a list of best markers. And then I might add in, I really want it to be waterproof. I'm going to be driving at speeds of 80 miles per hour, like high speeds. And I have dogs that like to stick their heads out the window, so it might drool. I want it to be resistant to these things. And then it comes up with a list of additional markers or better markers that I could go look into. It also gives me where to find them, the prices, and I can continue to kind of build that conversation to add exactly what I'm looking at. So what I might have started with was, a Sharpie. It actually gave me this completely drool, water, wind proof marker for $20 because that was my budget. And it gives me the direct link on Amazon to buy that marker. So it is really awesome how you can utilize it.
And ask him to ask you a question. I forgot to finish on that because that was the whole point. And when you do a deep research, you will look that he actually asks you a list of questions before starting the deep research since the last update. So it's very new. It's from 2 months ago. And it's very, very well done because most people didn't realize that, okay, actually, if he knows just the answer to this, it's going to completely help him to redirect all his focus to give me a way, way better answer. And we're talking of like, it's a ratio of 1 to 100. The answer can be like a life-changing answer compared to a random, average, AI-ish answer that's basically he gives the same to everyone. So it's very important.
For your prompts, use, you talked about the simple aspect and having a simple prompt, having a simple but a complex answer to a simple prompt. When you're doing deep research, are you still using a simple prompt? Do you actually leverage ChatGPT or Gemini to write the prompt that you essentially want to make sure it captures everything?
Of course, if I have a very complex problem that I want to tackle, I think it's complex. Most of the time, it's not that complex for him, but for me, it is. And I'm asking, GPT-03 to, like, okay, I made this prompt. Like, first I tell him my problem, like as broad as possible. ChatGPT has the best voice to text tools in the world. I'm not kidding. Like, I've tried a lot of them. As I told you, I'm not a fan of writing, especially as a software engineer. I need to type a lot. I literally have a ChatGPT just for that. Like, literally, it's always there on my computer, and anytime I speak, it transcribes it to letter and word and paragraph, and it's so well done. Like, even you can speak a different language. Like, even if I would speak Russian, which I do, and I would switch from English to Russian to French, he still capture everything. It put the punctuation, it instantly understand. And it's absolutely amazing because you earn like in a day, that's such a time saver. And the goal, that's why I told you about the grocery thing, etc. It's time saver. Like in the end, you want to have as much time to do the essentials of life, which mean spend time with the people you love, do sport to keep a healthy body, sometimes take break, meditate, be thankful, whatever. All this super important stuff that helps you to fight the gloom of the world we live in. And at the same time, be creative. To be creative, you need to have time for creativity. You need to have mind space. You need to not be full of anxiety and full. So as much as you can free yourself valuable time to do that, and you can make ChatGPT do every single thing that normally would take you hours and hours and a lot of headspace. Before you realize, and since the beginning, I didn't even talk about what I use ChatGPT to do in my actual work, because for me it's secondary. Because in my work is actually a lot, as I said, about creativity, and creativity. It's better to, for now, it's better to have a human at the front seat for anything that's creative, because he's not that good at that. He's going to be able to offer you a list of possibility, but you will have to be the one choosing the right one. But yeah, I even for creativity, I tell him, give me 20 different options and I will choose one, because it's super useful. It's such a rest for the mind, like you have a list, it's settled, you can see them with your eyes. It's very, very practical. So even
Yeah.
when I want to be creative, I brainstorm using ChatGPT. Or even, I go in a park and I talk to him with my AirPods. I do this so much, and people think that I'm on the phone, but I'm just talking to my AI. Or I go biking somewhere and I had just talk for like 1 or 2 hours to ChatGPT, and what's super cool is that in the middle of the discussion, you can ask him for a super specific thing. It's gonna look through the entire internet to give you an answer. Who does
Right.
this? Like.
Yeah, and I think that is awesome. That's something that I've not leveraged yet today, but you have talked, and I think people will probably take away that you're very pro AI. What things can't it do? And you mentioned one so far, kind of the creativity aspect, right? It gives you a lot of options, but it still needs a human at the helm to make the decision and really be that creative driving force right now. What other things have you recognized where maybe it's lacking or where it has growth opportunities to be better?
I think that to be fair, AI is very creative. So even there, I think it's better than most human. But if you are a creative human being, you can use AI to be even more creative. So I think AI is not, as a lot of people say, the killer of all artists. All AI is definitely is going to reduce the number of job offering in, for example, graphic design, etc. But in fact, the graphic designer that AI will replace are mostly people that went there because it's not that hard, it doesn't require a lot, and they are doing the minimum of the minimum. Any great artist or smart artist or big creator that I met and I talked to, they all are super thankful for AI because they can do even more, create even more. They have more time to, what I just mentioned, think of their next creation instead of doing small details and like write this and write that. And so yes, on that, I think people are facing the wrong problem with AI. The real problem with AI is that AI is actually way too good and that it's going to get only better and better. And I don't see any end in sight to how much better it's getting. For now, ChatGPT got 1 IQ point every week since its creation. And when we say ChatGPT, of course, we take all the AI together because they are all copying each other. So they're all almost at the exact same level. Beside, every time there is a huge gap, like for example, right now with Gemini, or before, as I mentioned, with GPT-3 or Grok. And the problem is that when we'll reach a moment where it will feel like there is aliens on Earth that just arrived, and these aliens are the AIs, and we have to trust them because apparently they are on our side, but we don't even know because we don't even know how they function anymore. We are almost there yet. We're almost at the point where we already don't understand what are the paths that make the AI have this exact answer. It's very complex. Most AI are coded in Chinese. People don't know that. It's actually, I think Americans are quite ashamed of it because every single top AI in America right now is coded in Chinese. ChatGPT is coded in Chinese entirely. When I was doing bounty hunting for OpenAI, every time there was a bug in ChatGPT, the answer was automatically in Chinese. ChatGPT was starting to like bug in Chinese, like because the Chinese language is extremely efficient and the tokens that this is how an AI function. It understands more like meanings of different token. And Chinese has symbols that are very expressive. And so for an AI, it's very practical for her to think in Chinese specifically because the language is very well made to have her chain of thought. And also because there are a lot of information in China because the country is huge. There is so much text in Chinese. The Chinese are extremely good in computer science. So it's not a surprise that DeepSeek used almost everything that ChatGPT made because they had access to literally a code that was written in their original language. And that was, we could also say that OpenAI stole a lot of things from China to be able to train their models. So I don't think it's an unfair war. But yeah, all this to say, I think it's the only scary thing about AI is that it's going to completely change the way the world works. And I have no idea how it's going to go. And it's going to probably go terribly at first because I don't see how people will put their ego on the side and think, okay, I'm useless now. AI do everything better than me. Because even right now, where AI is already doing better than most people, I talk to people every day that tell me, oh, I don't need this. Oh, but then what am I useful for if the AI write my mails, etc. But soon it won't just write your mail. It will just be an AI talking to another AI that talk to another AI, etc., etc. Like in medicine, it's crazy what AI can do already. And in medicine, suddenly people are okay, because if right now your son or your mother has a cancer and you know that with AI, the cancer will be able to be spotted way earlier, instantly, if they tell you, well, AI has 95% chance of like spotting your cancer cells and the doctor has only a 50% chance. We are talking of, this is actual numbers that I'm giving. It's not random. Like AI has like 3, 4, 5 times a better rate at spotting cancerous cells than actual professional cancer doctor. For a simple reason is that a doctor will see 1,000 cancer in his, remember in his active brain, he will have 1,000 radiology of cancer that actively work in his brain. AI will have millions and millions of recent one. So it will be able to, of course, build a pattern. And the moment there will be one extremely tiny pixel that will be a bit of a gray spot, it will be able to say, okay, I recognize that in 99% of the case, when there is this, there is a cancer developing there. And this is impossible for a human being to do so. And then the diagnostic, I think most doctors are old and have not renewed their knowledge of medicine, and AI renew its knowledge of medicine every single day. So how can you compete with that? So yeah, what will human being do, and what will happen to the scarcity in between the rich and the poor? Like already Jeff Bezos became so fucking rich because he was able to replace most of his employee and laying off everyone by robots. But now the robotic is going as fast as AI. People, I think, are not aware of that, but robots are also doing a graphic like that. Like the Optimus from Tesla is not just dancing and all. Like they put him in a kitchen and he was able to wash the dishes, make like a stir. Absolutely crazy because he's powered by AI. So what they did is that they took 1 million robots, all interconnected, and they make the 1 million robot do the exact same task. It's actually fascinating. So they all, for example, pick up this box. This is anti-allergy. They all pick up this, and the 1 million robot will probably fail, but they will do the action 100 times. So it's for them in their system, it's as if they did it 100 million times, and they did the same action 100 million times. And the one that successfully did the action right will teach all the other robots how to do it perfectly. And they can do this with every single action in the world. So the world where all the personnel is replaced by robots is very close. But then you will have one PDG, one CEO, and two senior manager, and then AI, robots, AI, robots, robots. How will the wealth be redistributed? There won't be any redistribution because right now it's already very, very small. That's why you have like, what is it now? It's like, I think it's the top 100 billionaire have more amount of income than the bottom 50% of humanity. It's like crazy numbers like this. It's like the top 1% have more resources than the top 90%. We're already at numbers that are disgusting, and it's gonna be power, I think, 10 or 100 soon.
Yeah. No, it's eye-opening, but also scary. You mentioned you're hiring, and maybe you could just elaborate on that. Like, what are you hiring for? What exactly are you doing that you have, open spots for? And then are you open to people connecting with you on LinkedIn?
Open to people connecting with me on LinkedIn, definitely. I was hiring because I think right now what I'm doing, like I have quite a big attention, a spotlight put on me. So I think the most important thing in life is to surround yourself with good people. So I'm looking for good people to surround myself with.
What is it exactly that you're doing? Like if someone hears this and they're super interested and they're like, okay, so I want to learn more, connect with you, or what? Can you give us the elevator pitch?
So the elevator pitch is that right now I can take any client, customers, people that are interested in setting their company or their life with AI, and I can take them from A to Z and make it all a joyful course for them to use AI in their daily life and make it as frictionless as possible. I even have small apps on their iPhone that they just need to say something and it's there. Like they never even need to use a computer, or everything's set up for them to be able to save so much working hours from their days. And so, and I have proof of concept and proof of work, and it's instant. Like after the first time they speak to me, they already can remove sometimes 5 or 10 hours from their week. And then from the next week, it's even more. And after a month of implementing it, it's half of their workload that is removed. So this, and of course, outside of this, I started at quite a high level doing AI automation, where there it's more about building complex AI agents that deliver a product or a complete task, and there, sadly, completely replace a human being, because it's really, you take a task from A to Z, and then there is zero human interaction in between. There is just guys like me that make sure that the automation work flawlessly. But then the moment the automation is fixed, there is very few margin of error.
It's a cool field to get into, and I'm glad you're here being part of the conversation. Hopefully people will connect with you, and I can't wait to see that number grow. When I look back in a few months, I'm going to be like, wow,
That
he
could be cool.
has 50,000 followers. That's awesome. They're all going to be little chat bots. They're going to be AI following you, not real
Yes,
people.
probably like half of the internet will be AI soon enough. So
Huge thanks to Jean-Baptiste for not only showing us what's possible with AI, but for making us question how we're spending our time, and who, or what, is helping us do it. If you want to connect with Jean or explore the tools we talked about, check out the show notes. Until next time, reboot boldly.